gentlemen of TwitchCon, welcome to the Lineage 2 Revolution 30v30 Fortress Siege event. I am your host, Gillyweed. Casting this awesome event is going to be Frodan and Dreadnought. You are in for such a treat. We've got 60 gamers up here about to do battle. And to lead the charge, let's introduce our kings of the teams. In the red, the king of Clan Bella. Give it up for Sko! And in the blue, the king of Clan Harden. Let's hear it for Pokemon! Now, a lot of you guys might not be familiar yet with Lineage 2 Revolution, and that is just fine. It hasn't been released yet in North America or Europe. But to get you hyped for what to come, let's check out this awesome cinematic. Lineage 2 Revolution is a truly open-world MMORPG with stunning graphics because it was built with the Unreal 4 engine. This is what allows for these incredible large-scale battles. We're going to see 30 versus 30, but when it's live, Fortress Siege is 50 versus 50, and that is all on a mobile device. Now, of course, it hasn't yet been released in North America and Europe, but Lineage 2 Revolution has been available and is wildly popular in the Asian market. Let's take a closer look. Guys, we are so close to getting this battle underway, but I gotta explain the rules of the game before we get started. Each team will spawn in their respective fortresses. And in the spawn points, right next to that is the Holy Artifact. This is the objective of the game. Teams must go across the battleground over to their opponent's fortress and try to imprint their symbol on the Holy Artifact. But there is a catch. Only the kings, the clan leaders themselves, can imprint on the Holy Artifact to win the game for the teams. So it's so important that the teams can keep their leader alive. On the way over to your opponent's fortress, there are 2 tiers of towers standing in the way. You have to bring these down to open the gate and head on in, and then there will be more turrets right at the Holy Artifact. So important that you tank the damage of this so that the DPS can bring those down, because there's nothing else to soak those shots. Finally, in the center of the map, there's a few more objectives. 2 altars that will give not just you, but your team buffs for a sizable amount of time. And finally, in the center, a spring of recovery. If you're able to stand around this, this will allow you to heal up faster. There are many routes for you to take to get over to your opponent's fortress. And the teams who are able to control the center, get the buffs, and continue on, those are the teams that are going to be victorious. Now, talk about some of the few strategies. I'm going to bring on up one of the commentators. Let's bring to the stage Dreadnought. Hey, Dread, are you pumped to get this thing going?
I am absolutely excited to get this thing going. Every one of the 30 vs 30 Fortress Sieges we've seen so far, they've only gotten better and better. So, you know, to kind of have this final one here, I feel like it's going to really be the crescendo we've been looking for.
Now you get 1 strategy to try to, 1 second to give these guys some strategy. So what is the first thing you would say is important for these listeners?
Absolutely, sticking together is the #1 thing you want to be doing. The sticking as a unit, never going off on your own and getting that Lone Ranger. You know, try not to be a hero. It is a team game, and looking out for the greater good is what you want to be doing.
Well, it is time to get this Fortress Siege started. So I want to ask, Red Side, are you ready? And what about the blue side? Are you guys ready? Best of luck to both teams. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Take it away, Dreadnought Frodan.
We have ourselves another Fortress Siege, ladies and gentlemen. 30 vs 30. The action is packed, but with me is Frodan. Frodan, how you feeling today?
I'm feeling great, and I'm ready to see what Day 3 is going to bring us with this Fortress Siege action. We've seen a lot of the Method players come out big whenever they're playing a Fortress Siege battle.
No surprise there. With the experience that they have within the MMORPG realm, they are flaunting it here today at the Fortress Siege, and I'm expecting Sko and friends to kind of pull ahead with that.
We've had a lot of great battles throughout the weekend, and a lot of tactics have been employed, but the most important thing is what you mentioned, teamwork and communication. A lot of times teams split up their strategies. Some try to take the altars, some try to push really aggressively, and sometimes if that works in 2 different directions, it's not going to pan out for either side, and you end up losing control.
It just breeds this kind of chaos with this many people on the battlefield. But talking about some of the battle here, both of the teams have evenly traded those buffs into the middle section of the map, almost dead even in terms of time. So no open window of opportunity later on to try and, you know, go for that famous double buff that gives you such a big advantage.
That's right. You can already hear some of the communication coming out, encouragement from Pokemon and her team saying, good guys, keep up the pressure. We're winning. Trying to protect our buff, and what's really important too is they can take this opportunity to fight for the spring of recovery. If you tie on the altars, what really can tilt the battle in your favor is that extra health regen that you get from controlling that center spring.
Yeah, and the crowd control lockdown and these type of tight chokeholds around that spring of recovery make it very difficult to kind of understand how far out you want to push to stay within the healing range, but also not getting clumped up and making yourself easy pickings for the other team.
Blue team is starting to take a slight lead, and it seems like they're going to be able to fight for spring of recovery control. And from there, we've seen dominant leads extend all the way up to maybe even 100 kills. And I feel like the padding's about 40 to 50. Once you're around there, it feels like the team has to change up their strategy and no longer try to go for center control only.
Yeah, I completely agree. It does feel like that is kind of the breaking point where things seem to get out of control for the other team, and suddenly desperation kicks in where they have to go all in siege, Hail Mary play, and you never want to do that here. But so much being thrown down around the spring of recovery. Dominance being displayed here at the blue team as they're now rounding double the kills of Clan Bellet.
Pokemon's got a 45 combo and climbing. Her damage is accelerating with each combo extension. You increase your damage output, getting plus 3%. And more importantly, Sko is falling. In the midst of the battle, red team has been swarmed. Blue controls the center, and look at them. They're starting to push onto red team's altar.
It's been a slower kind of onslaught here for the blue team than we've seen out of some of our other Fortress Cs, but it feels almost with more torque right here. They have more weight behind their punches as they're going to be able to slowly ease on into the base bulldozer over Clan Bellet here. So I'm suddenly wondering, when are we going to see them back out here? Sko and the squad maybe push towards those turrets.
Look at that control from blue team. Pokemon continue to call out, and it seems like red team, they're actually very coordinated. They're trying to go into the same areas and focus their attack. However, on the other side, it doesn't seem like they're able to actually push back blue's momentum, and now they're making a play for the altar.
Yeah, we have 15 seconds before one of the two altars will spawn up at mid. Only 7 seconds separates the two of those. They do spawn conveniently in a position to where it is likely for you to be able to get the trade of one of those, but I expect the blue team here, they're dominant. They should be bullying out the red members here and getting that double buff.
This is the lead that we're talking about. I'm going to go ahead and walk over to Clan Bailiff, led by Sko from Method. So Sko, the first thing I'm going to be asking you is, if you can declare right now to your entire team, let's say that they can't really hear you until you talk into this mic, what do you want them to do right now?
I need them to get middle, and I need them to get middle fast.
Red, get to the middle, get there fast because there's not much time. However, you still have several minutes to play with here. Did you expect this kind of deficit this early on, or do you feel like there's still a lot of Lineage 2 Revolution Fortress Siege battle to play?
The battle is definitely not over till the time limits out. We're going to do our best to come back from this, but we're definitely on the back foot right now, so we need to focus up and capture these altars before we can push the towers.
This could be one of our last battles for the entire weekend. How much more important is it to end with a big W here?
There's a lot of reputation on the line, obviously, with this one, so we're going to do our absolute best to push that blue team back.
It's all business here on Team Red. Sko's trying to concentrate. I'm distracting him. What's happening on blue team?
Going over here, we got Pokemon. We're going to be checking in. First of all, Pokemon, you're dominating throughout this match. Much different than the tale of your very first Fortresses. Can you maybe give us some insight as to why you've been so much more successful here?
I learned a bit of strategy in terms of when to go for kills, when to go for objectives, and how important the two buffs in the middle are, and taking control of the healing.
Yeah, you guys seem to, absolutely execute this strategy near perfect at this point in time. So are you going to be aiming for maybe just more of that kill count at the 15 timer, or are you going for more of that maybe imprint onto the Holy Artifact?
I think we're going to go for the kill count, get some blood.
Get bloodthirsty over here from the blue team. My goodness, Frodan.
I want to see a massacre, and I feel like the Pokemon army is behind her. Right now, the lead is extended to 50 kills, and we talked about center control. It's been dominant. Blue team has not been able, or red team rather, has not been able to push them off the spring of recovery. And it's such a big deal, too, because the extra kills means that the death count climbs for red. And remember, if red team hits 10 deaths, or if you are a player on red team and you hit 10 deaths, the respawn timer gets longer and longer.
Yeah, things get weird once you get past that 10 death threshold. Suddenly your death timer will increase to 30 seconds, and every death beyond that point increasing further and further up to a maximum of 60 seconds, and that is 1/15 of the battlefield, not even considering those deaths before. So that is worst case scenario, and it's something I expect Clan Bella to have to deal with throughout this match, as right now Pokemon is just dominating this battlefield.
Every time I'm looking at Pokemon, she keeps disengaging just at the right time. She's right now making a play for the altar as well, trying to see if she can time it. But at the same time, Sko's kind of throwing himself in there. He's trying to lead by example, but he's dying. He's getting caught. He's getting stunned. Those warriors are putting out big damage and AoE at the same time and taking away most of his army power.
It's one of those moments where you can appreciate that he's willing to, put himself at the forefront. He's not willing to, he's not going to put others out there. He's going to represent the squad as best as he can, but it is sadly coming at a cost. buffs here on Fortress Siege.
That's right. May not be the wisest strategy, just throw yourself out there, but boy, is it brave and courageous, and we salute you, man of honor, Sko. Or at least we'll see if he's able to turn it around. We could be declaring it too early, but right now, the way things going is Blue is sticking to that strategy. They're not letting go of that center, and I think Red needs to rethink what they're doing. Right now, they're just approaching the center. There are ways that you can cut off reinforcements from Blue because they're trying to go from straight spawn to center. There are also ways that you can surround and go for a big pincer attack.
We just had a huge play there. Nice interrupt coming out from Red 0208 right there. It interrupted the imprint onto one of these major buffs in mid, which, by the way, just both came online here. Another imprint attempt, one for Blue, one for Red, getting halfway here into that channel, and it's looking like it might go through.
They have names, Dread. They're not just numbers of employees. They're trying their best. It's a team effort. What kind of mentality? This is not American capitalism. This is, we're all in it together. Sko trying to make a play for the altar, and it seems like both teams have, again, split the buffs, and that's not going to be enough. Blue team needs to just continue to secure the lead, and Red needs to do a lot more than just even up the score.
It really does feel like the Red team here is kind of, doing the same thing and expecting a different result. And now that we are rounding past the 50% mark here through this game, now 7 minutes left. It is we need to see some kind of mix-up in strategy if they're going to come out ahead.
A couple key members from Red team are flanking to the east side, trying to see if they can go for a slight pincer, but a couple of stragglers from Blue are holding them off. There's about 5 members from there, and that's enough to make a difference because Blue team will focus all their AoE in front, and that's when you can snipe their rangers, their mages, and if you can get big damage on them from behind, that's when you can swing the game.
Absolutely. Those circles, create a brilliant area around that spring recovery to where most of the backliners are kind of going to stand offish on their own in between that and the buff. And so if you properly flank, you can have some really high impact plays. But talking about some plays, the Red team here getting a significant amount of damage onto this eastern turret.
Well, Red team is climbing further and further behind here. It seems like the only hope could be the power of, are you Banana Man?
No, I'm not.
What's with the banana outfit, though?
It's comedy.
It's comedy, but are you trying to deliver a joke to somebody, or are you trying to make a statement about yourself?
I'm trying to make a statement about myself.
And what is that statement?
My outer layer doesn't represent my inner layer.
That's right. Don't judge a book by its cover, and don't judge a Red team by how many kills they're behind. Dread, what's going on in Blue?
I was just wondering, can I judge a banana by its peel? That's the real question here.
That's a slippery slope, my friend.
Well, I found a friend over here, and we're going to find out what he's been doing. What is the action? What is your experience here with Lineage 2 in this Fortress Siege?
Well, I'm just trying to have a lot of DPS on the enemy team, try to pressure them as much as they can and push them back. And while staying in the fountain, so I just keep on healing, so that the fights go longer and they kind of lose pressure.
Do you feel like your hat actually, benefits you, give you the armor stat padding and advantage here in this kind of game?
Not really armor, but maybe stealth. I don't know. Maybe. Could be.
Maybe the stealth if you AFK for long enough. I think you're pretty good at scouting as well. Frodan, there has been a lot going on up in this game. What have I missed out in my time there with Tito?
You just missed pretty much the rerun of the same episodes we've been watching. This is American entertainment at its finest. Reruns after reruns. Blue team is extending their lead further and now are up almost 150 kills. Lest we remind you, there's 30 people per team, 30 versus 30. Even if Red team died 5 times in a row, each of them, it wouldn't be enough to equalize.
That's that Hearthstone math coming out, and I'm really thankful you're there to back me because I sure would not be confident with those type of numbers. Talking about a numbers advantage, though, is here this Red team clumped up onto the right-hand side. The imprints just now become available. We'll see if they want to try and make this play, this heavy push. It is dire for them to be able to get these buffs and recover in these deaths.
This is the last chance here for Team Red, in my opinion. If they can get both those imprints, they can make a big push. If they can't climb back in the kill count, what they can do is start turning tides. Look at how much damage the East Towers have taken from Blue team. That's enough, I think, from Red to still make one final push here.
Yeah, there is still that kind of one moment, that last Hail Mary play available. Nice imprint attempt here. A lot of action going on, and there is the interrupt. Blue team doing a good job and securing their own buff. They're not only pulling ahead in kills, now an objective play beyond all else.
Love the leadership coming out from Team Pokemon. You can see why her community loves her. She's always talking. She's always communicating. And now she's leading them. She's saying, you know what? Now that we have it, control the middle. It's not as important to take down their altar. Just control the center. And from there, we can pick apart their strategy.
They are doing such a great job there, even moving past that chokehold. Anytime you can do that and consider the area at which you're taking a fight, I cannot reiterate that enough, especially here within this Fortress Siege, considering are you taking a fight in an advantageous situation, and most of the time those chokeholds are anything but.
Blue team again crushing the center. Red team hasn't even captured the altar yet because they've been so focused on trying to fight center for the blue, and blue now is pushing deeper into red territory. I want to see an ultimate victory here. I want to see a holy artifact captured, but we only have 3 minutes left, and we're coming down to the last wire here. Can red team turn this around, or will we finally see blue victory?
We may see ourselves with a final blue victory here, but I feel like when we talked to Pokemon in the very first Fortress Siege she competed in, she talked about, you know, teamwork makes the dream work here. And her communication throughout the entirety of this game, I just, you know, the leading by example we gave out of school, I feel like she has put that on case here today, and why you can set yourself so far ahead with good coordination and teamwork, even within Fortress Siege.
I agree. I believe any motivational poster with a cat on it is pretty much something that red team could apply at this point. There's really nothing going on for them. Even though I feel like ultimately they've been working together, their tactics haven't changed. They've still been trying to get center control. But here we might see a shift in ideology. Red team is pretty much aligned to the east side. They've given up both altars. Can they make one final power play? Because I don't think in any world, their heaven or hell, can they climb back in the kill count.
Yeah, the question here is just, can they get past this chokehold for the blue team? It's been kind of them forcing the hand of the red team, excuse me, a little bit more than I feel like it has been a power play. But we do see at least a little bit of damage going on to the eastern turret. Success into the world of siege and structures here for the red team.
I haven't seen communication from red team at all. You know, normally you can even see the chat usually trying to say something. Maybe they're even trolling each other, but there's no communication at all. Blue team has been texting each other. They've been talking or hearing commands from Pokemon. They're a much more social group, and I think it's showing in the results. 500 kills. What they could do is also go for a new kill record that we haven't seen all weekend.
Yeah, they are getting very, very close, and they are not at the end of the timer. Is now that is still 1 minute and 30 seconds left. This really does feel like this is the final attempt here. They have managed, red team has managed to push back onto this chokehold, which has been very, very convenient. But as we see on the mini-map, there's a huge flank here from that eastern tower after the immediate spawn from blue.
At this point, red team is trying to play for honor, which is close the gap a little bit and maybe even play some keep away. If I'm red team, I'm staying in my base behind the towers. I don't want to be part of the receiving end for the world record here of kills in 30 versus 30 Fortress Siege.
They are absolutely dominating throughout this match, and it's understandable that that has been the go-to strategy here for Pokemon. You know, she has already a Fortress Siege under her belt, understanding sometimes the safest strategy, which is the 15-minute timer, it is inevitable, is the best strategy, and that kind of game plan really paying off.
Relentless. The altar doesn't even impact the game whatsoever, but blue team even capturing it. They understand everything about this objective. And you know what? I don't even think red team played that badly. I think blue team was just that much more coordinated and understood what they needed to get done.
I completely agree. The synergy that they were able to display, the coordination and communication has really been almost unrivaled compared to every other team, even the formidable Trump that we've seen at Fortress Siege.
10 seconds remain between blue team claiming their victory. Pokemon still talking and giving orders. The game's won. 2 seconds, 1 second. And Clan Harden will take the 30 versus 30 Fortress Siege, and the crowd goes wild.
Good job, guys.
Let's hear it again for the blue team.
Come on up with me.
Pokemon, come on down here. Bring your knights and accept this perfect foam board as your victory prize. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So I'm going to have you guys come over here on the other side of Pokemon. Okay, you played earlier today in our earlier Fortress Siege, and unfortunately you lost. So talk to me about some of the lessons learned and the strategies that you conveyed to your clanmates today.
Yeah, so earlier I focused a lot more on objectives, turrets, actually trying to win the game that way, but since instead of 50 players it's 30, I figured maybe we should go for the kills. And that seems to have worked this time. It was really, really fun to play with everyone. Couldn't have done it without my awesome team. Thank you guys for playing.
Yeah, I would say it worked. You guys dominated. You had so many kills. And you had such good communication with your team and a lot of positive reinforcement. Is there maybe something to be learned about competitive PvP and positive reinforcement, positivity here?
Yes, team morale is very important, so cheer your teammates on. It helps a lot more than you think.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you to our casters. Thank you, everyone, who participated in this Fortress Siege. Up next, we'll have more Lineage 2 Revolution. Stay tuned.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Lineage 2 Revolution booth. I'm your host, Day 9. We got Gilly and Dreadnought who are going to be casting our upcoming 30v30 Fortress Siege. And to set the tone just right, we have a little bit of a hype-up epic cinematic. Oh yes, Lineage 2 A Revolution is already an absolute sensation in the East. Here it hasn't been released yet. November 15th is the date at which it will be formally available to all folks here. But I want to take a little look at just how successful Lineage 2 Revolution already is. Let's take a look. And now that you are fully clued in, it is time for us to begin the Fortress Siege. Please join me in welcoming to the stage my co-host and commentator, Gillyweed!
Oh, here we go!
Oh, Gillyweed, how are you?
I am so pumped to get this Fortress Siege started. Our first of the day. It's going to be awesome. Rockin'.
I am vibrating with excitement. Gillyweed, I think it's right about time to introduce our very first king.
Let's do just that then. In the red, the king of Clan Baeleth. Let's hear it for Shifter!
Woo! That's me! That's me!
Sorry.
Boos from the blue team. Oh my. Going against Shifter. On Team Blue, Team Harden, it's gonna be Pokemon!
Let's go, team! Woo!
Unbelievable. Now, Gilly, I think that some of the people here might be wondering, what is Fortress Siege? In fact, some of the people who are playing are attendees of this convention, and they're just up here, and they're wondering, what is Fortress Siege?
Well, thankfully, we can run them through the base rules of
Really
the game.
That's right.
Starting with 2 fortresses, one on
can see
each
up there
side
as
with
well.
spawning points. And it's all about the holy artifacts in the center. If you are able to get to your opponent's fortress and imprint your symbol on that holy artifact, you will be able to claim victory.
Your goal is to push forward to that holy artifact and not to destroy it as you
And there
might
are
do in
towers
other
along
games,
the way
but
as
rather
well.
to
That's why you
have
wanna
your
be
king. The
secure.
only one person on each team is the king. Your king is the one who does the
But if
imprinting.
they
So you can disable, kill the king to deny that victory.
Standing in the way are 2 sets of turrets that will do damage to you, and there's nothing to soak up the damage of those turrets, so it's up to the tanky warrior type characters to soak up that damage to allow time for your damage dealers to take those down and rush across the gate.
And in the middle of the map, as we're seeing, there are objectives. Of course, at the very center of the map, there's a fountain that can heal you back to full health. But more importantly, there are the 2 buffs on either side. These come in a large variety of different buffs. Some give you a speed boost, some give you a defense boost, and this is for your whole team. It is temporary though, so you must continue to maintain control of the center and recapture them for the infamous double buff.
Yeah, what we have seen is the team generally controlling the center of the map for a majority of the games. The team
Yes.
is able to have victory in it because of taking control of those 2 buffs. It just gives you such a big
Yeah.
increase in power.
Now, as these players are throwing themselves at these objectives and one another, every time they die, the respawn begins at 10 seconds, but gets greater and greater and greater over the course of the game until it reaches a full minute.
Yeah, it hurts. It feels
It hurts.
bad.
It's not good.
And we have seen how important kills are. Some of the games have ended based off of who has more kills. If by 15 minutes we don't have a holy artifact imprinted on it, that is how we will determine a victor.
That's right. And many times in the real world setting, teams only get to do this once a week. They plan their entire week how they're going to do the Fortress Siege, and those are 30 minutes. Here, it's only 15. It's a lightning round. Let's get this match underway. And I want to make sure we're prepared because often the first team that we announce doesn't get the most cheers because everyone's distracted. They're on their phones, which is fine, especially because this is a mobile game, so we encourage that. But now, let's get ready to cheer for our first team, Team Red, Team Shifter!
Nah.
And let's hear it for the Team Blue!
Let's hear it. Woo!
Best of luck to both teams. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Match has begun. Gilly and Dreadnought, go, 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 go.
Thank you very much, Day 9. We are ready to kick off our very first Fortress Siege here. 30 versus 30, the long-standing story of Clan Bellet versus Clan Harding. Gilly, what are your thoughts? What are you expecting to see here today?
The gates are open and we are rushing to the center of the map for each team to try to take their respective altars and then immediately get over to the Spring of Recovery, try to take control of that center, and then push onward to start bringing down those Tier 1 turrets.
Already got to highlight the red team here with a pretty solid game plan. Already locking in that very first diamond buff. Second imprint still under heavy contention here, as a lot of the members, actually almost every member on the battlefield, seems to be bringing their focus, bringing the fight here up on mid.
Now we saw both of the clan leaders talking to their respective teams, strategizing a lot, but it's not just about the communication before the match. Things happen, and you have to be able to adapt. And the teams that have continued to have this communication with their leaders are the teams that are victorious, like Trump. Trump was so good at that yesterday.
Absolutely, and we saw beforehand both of these teams, both Pokemon and Shifter, were very collecting the squad, trying to let them know what the game plan is going to be. But since that point, we've died down a little bit on the communication level here, Gilly.
Well, the plan has been center of the map first. We'll see what the adjustments are, but no rush to turrets just yet. Just focusing on the center, making sure that they can continue to get the healing, not only from the potions, because it is a longer cooldown of 15 seconds, but also sitting at the Spring of Recovery. But we've got a clan leader dying. Shifter is down for the count.
Shifter going down for the count, but don't worry, you have a couple of deaths that come at a free cost there. 10 deaths come at the shortest death timer possible, but beyond that point, suddenly you find yourself having to wait in the graveyard for 30 seconds. It increases every death beyond that point, stopping at the entirety of a minute. And Gilly, that is 1/15 of the battle. You do not want to be gone for a minute.
No, it hurts to die at that point. And what's hurting for Red Team is that Blue is starting to amass a lead in the kills as they're pushing forward ever slowly, further and further, trying to get Red away from the Spring of Recovery and get more control of that.
You got to be asking yourself, at the blue team's thought process, if they win this fight over mid, maybe try and abuse that 30-second time difference between the buff number 1 and buff number 2. They might be able to try and capitalize and utilize that small window.
Yeah, holy moly though, Red came back swinging though, tying back up quickly in the kills, but that's because Blue has started to separate off, wanting to get towers, but you can't just separate with a couple of members. Because those towers do so much damage, if you're going to go with a small force, it has to be big enough to be able to tank and deal damage to the towers, even have a healer with you too.
Yeah, at that point in time, anything concentrating on siege, you have to be hyper aware, not only of your positioning, but the remainder of the team. Yes, this is a colossal battle, but you still got to be waiting for them to join you. You know, you all got to be on the same plan, same direction, and that is what our Kings are looking to do here in this battlefield.
Blue team is not only fighting for this match, but for all the blue teams. We've only had one single blue team victory this entire weekend. I'm going to check in with the blue team at King Queen Pokemon. Hey, how is it going, my friend?
Pretty good. Looks like there's just a huge fight around the fountain.
What has been the strategy? We saw you talking to your teammates a lot throughout the introduction to this Fortress Siege. So what were you talking to them about?
Basically telling them to play together, stick together, and try to outnumber them. So teamwork makes the dream work.
That is, not only is it a great strategy, but it rhymes, so it's pretty easy to remember too. What are you now? Are you trying to shift your strategy at all, or is it still all about the center for you guys?
We might try to go for the turrets instead.
Okay, well, we'll pretend that Red Team didn't hear. Don't listen over there, guys. We're talking strategy over here. Do you got any words for Shifter, your enemy combatant?
You're going down, Shifter.
Ooh, what does Shifter have to say about that, Dread?
You know what? I'm about to find out. Shifter, you got anything to rebuttal back here against Pokemon?
I mean, I'm just going to let my demon do the talking. I mean, it seems like we're kind of pulling the lead a little bit now. So I think her remarks are a little backhanded because they're not really applying to what the game's going on right now.
We saw that you were collecting with the squad, much like Pokemon before, trying to build a strategy. Can you give us some insight as to what you might have been saying to the group?
Right. We just made sure that, you know, sticking together is really important. Anything or anyone that gets picked off, it's a resource that's not being utilized. So it's really important that we just work together and use all the resources we have at our disposal.
We're going to leave you with one last, cheer for the squad here. If you have some final words beyond that point, what do you got to say to the group?
Let's just keep on going, guys. Come on, let's see some cheers.
We got the cheers, we got the teamwork. Everybody is looking to work as a unit, and understandably so. These massive battles, it is a necessity, Gilly.
You gotta have that moral victory, the cheering, as well as the actual victory. I don't know which is more important. We'll have to find out here. But blue team has shifted the strategy now. They are all focusing on the bottom towers. That has been the change up. They have unfortunately lost a lot of deaths because it took some time to change the strategy up. It was not instant.
And we're getting to the point where those death timers are something that the blue team is gotta be considering as a problem. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, it looks like Clan Harden here has kind of put some focus up towards the top half of the map, get some damage to those eastern turrets. That epic battle, massive AoE CC being hit there by the blue squad, and they're now using those towers, that defender's advantage that they had there in the top half, and then pushing outward on the opposite side and sieging up. This is very impressive split push microing between the squad.
Yeah, Harden's doing an awesome job, and that's because they've had plenty of members on the tower, but they're also knowing that Red is coming at the place where they spawn, that side lane. So as they respawn, they also can push back Red at the same time. So they're holding on two different fronts. But Red is starting to adapt now. A lot of them have died to the central push of Clan Harden, the blue team. And so as they're respawning, they have been able to save their turrets. We'll have to see how much damage was actually done to the turrets, how much blue was able to get done with this split push strategy.
And with that kind of thought process, it feels like the blue team here is really understanding that kind of distance to safety and playing around those small areas where they can assume they will be advantageous over Clan Harden here. If they can do so more effectively, maybe around the Spring of Recovery and lock in those double buffs, I feel like they might be able to pull ahead. Yes, the kills might be struggling, but that siege damage is nothing to ignore. It is very significant here on Fortress Siege.
Yeah, blue team has basically said, we are not going to focus on the kills at this point. They were very close, tied with Red. There at one point were even ahead, but because of this, blue has sort of locked in their own strategy to be doing damage to the towers. But Red is adapting to that too. They're going up to the opposite lane.
But Gilly, there is a huge push from the blue team. They already got the first turret there onto the western turrets. I think they're making a breakthrough. They've gotten through the gate. They're on their way here to the Holy Artifact. They're going to make the march. Now, keep in mind, there's a huge flank behind them. They're pincering them in. The red team is going to just absolutely slaughter.
Blue is going straight in for the towers. They're pushing in further on top of the Holy Artifact Tower. The big deal is taking down this first tower. Get this thing down, even with the red behind them, and as they respawn, they can continue to push back and down this lane. But red is doing a ton of damage. The tower lives, but only barely.
They come in and save the day, but that damage is permanent. That Holy Artifact Tower is not going to be able to find itself back at full HP throughout the entirety of this match. But I think it's time that we try and tune back in after those major plays, Gilly.
Yeah, there's been a lot of communication on this side for the blue team, so I want to check in with this. Hi, what's your name?
Jacob, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. Don't worry about me. How are you doing?
We're doing pretty well. We're regrouping in the mid when we can, when we draw the red team towards their towers, so we can get that buff and we can get the health back. It seems to be working out pretty well as we got 2 towers so far.
Have you played Fortress Siege before? Have you played Lineage 2 Revolution before this weekend?
I have not. I have played a lot of MMOs in my time, so I kind of get the concept of raiding and sieges.
And what do you want to say to your teammates now? This is your opportunity to make them excited and continue on forward for the rest of the battle.
So guys, on the blue side, we have taken a lot more towers than they've taken, and we just need to keep it up and not focus on kills, but focus on objective play.
There you go, there you go. What's happening on the red side, Dread?
I heard a lot of yelling and shouting going on over here, so I have to check in. First of all, what's your name and what's your experience so far here in this battle?
Oh, Casey. My name is Casey, and we're trying to get all these buffs. It's really intense and fun.
Have you been focusing on kills? Have you been focusing on pushing? Like, what has been your idea since you've gotten into this battlefield?
At the very least, get our buff, and then once we get our buff, defend from there, because they got our tower on the north side, so we have to play a lot of defense right now.
So do you feel like, you know, if you could try and tell the rest of the squad something, you got something you want to say to the team? Any thought process, any strategies to be able to pull ahead here in the group?
Just defend and get kills. We gotta do our best to get all these kills.
You know, I heard the group behind you actually reiterate that thought process. So I think everyone seems to be on the same page over here.
Yeah, and it is evident. They are all in the center of the battleground, and they have been able to take a lot more of the kills from Team Blue. They're further and further ahead in kills. Blue needing to regroup. They've gone to the center now, but they were all spread out in some of the different lanes trying to figure out where their next plan of attack would be.
It looks like the members of the blue team have concentrated that towards mid, the eternal battle that seems to be around that spring of recovery. But I'm so concerned about the damage the blue team is now getting to those eastern bottom turrets, as you can see in the lower right-hand section of that minimap. That is going to be another split push. This is something we saw out of Trump yesterday, and debatably one of the more successful strategies out of teams.
It did work for Trump, but Trump did not end up winning off of Holy Artifact in that. He ended up winning off of the kills because we hit the 15-minute mark, and that is not the case here for blue team. They cannot win that way at this point unless they're just so behind in kills, and there's less than 5 minutes left.
And that means that we're essentially going to have to see them take a notebook and page out of Trump and just upgrade it here, evolve it, because they need to be successful. An entire 120 kills here with only 4 minutes and 30 seconds remain. I think it is very likely that we're going to have to see that strat executed perfectly if they're going to be successful here. Clan Harden is going to have a hard time.
Blue team is starting to push into both sides of the red team base, but red using that defender's advantage, pushing forward and getting blue out of one side. But look, on the other side too, there's blue from that. If blue can try to push and pull red back and forth, this may be an opening for Pokemon to get in.
Gilly, the second
There
gate.
they do it.
It's going down. The blue team has completely opened the map now for themselves to move into Clan Bella's base and get that imprint. We've got to be asking ourselves, can they do it? Can they do what we have not seen almost anybody be able to do so far here within the Fortress Siege?
As that tower falls, I'm going to have one last check-in with our red team king, Shifter. Shifter, are you concerned about your towers at all?
Yeah. It's not looking really good. They got a lot of our towers, so we just got to make a really good push in, and hopefully we can get something out of for ourselves.
Are you focused on Holy Artifact at this point, or are you solely on defense knowing that you guys have the kill advantage?
Most on defense, just because if they can't defend, then yeah, we can definitely just win off kills.
I want to hear a rallying cry for these last few minutes of the game for your team.
All right, guys, come on. Let's just keep going our best. We can hold this off, and we can take the win. Let's go.
I'm over here with Pokemon, Gilly, and we're going to check in. First of all, Pokemon, I'm going to let you know, I don't know if you knew this, but you're currently struggling in the kills. You're dominating within the siege. So what seems to be the strategy and focus as I distract you and get you killed?
Definitely objectives and not so much kills.
You have seemed to manage to split up and create chaos on the other side of the battlefield. Was that the intent going into this?
Our intent is mainly to stay together and actually get objectives so we can win that way.
So we saw this same playstyle coming out from Trump yesterday. Did you kind of take a note, maybe strategize a little bit with him behind the scenes, or are you just coming in, just showing, first timer, top tier strategies?
First timer, just know what I'm doing. That's what's up.
Seems like it's just all natural skill here from Pokemon, Gilly.
This is the last chance for blue team, Pokemon's team, to be able to take the victory in the Holy Artifact. They are just about to finish imprinting on the second altar, which means a double buff setup for them. They have all the towers down except the towers for the Holy Artifact. This is the time to push forward for the artifact.
The blue team, they've got the double buffs. They're clumping. They're screaming. They're trying to get the shot calling in. They have opened up the base here of Clan Harden.
They are breaking it down. They're moving forward. They get through the gate. They're stepping on in. Red team hoping to defend. We've just seen Shifter come back to life, running over to help with the defense.
The blue team has to break past the gate closing. It makes it so easy to get the AoE damage. They have to just ignore, take some free damage, and move beyond this if they're going to be able to break in. But they're also relying, again, on that double buff system. A huge advantage for this blue team.
Really important for all the melee characters to be the ones to step forward into the red so that they can get the provoked stop some of the damage, the skills of the red team long enough. But it's also so important at this point that they keep their clan leader alive. With only 1 minute and 18 seconds left, they can't afford for Pokemon to go down.
There's so much focus and emphasis here to the top section of the map. I wonder if she's going to go for maybe a split push and a backdoor in a different direction. Again, by having both of those gates open, there is so many different avenues to try and penetrate the base here of the red team. And so far, again, going down here, Pokemon is going to be struggling.
She's gone down, but she is going to respawn back up. There's 50 seconds remaining. They have to get this push going into the base. All red needs to do at this point with this massive kill advantage is just hold at their base.
Look at the blue team actually now mixing things up, putting emphasis into the bottom lane, but Red, quick to respond. They are immediately going back and getting these kills, staggering. It is now completely, if this goes 30 seconds, the red team will win. But if somehow Pokemon can get that imprint within that 20-second time frame, she could end up getting this game.
Red team has been holding admirably. They have taken fights on top, on the bottom of their base, but they continue to regroup in the center, always together as one, and they have just about done it. 10 more seconds to hold.
10 seconds remain. 450 kills and counting. And after it's all said and done, Clan Harden claims, or excuse me, Bella claims themselves with a dominant victory over Clan Harden.
Team Red GG! Shifter, get down here! Shifter, come here, man. Come here, Shifter. Shifter, come here. Shifter. Shifter, get down on the stage. Shifter. Shifter, hold this foam board up. Yes! Shifter's champion! Woo! I'm gonna ask you to stand on this side. Oh, if you want to shake hands, we can do that as well. Hey, good job as well. And you too, Shifter. Man, there was a moment there where blue team was barreling down the top lane. What was going through your mind?
I mean, at first I didn't really see it, but it was kind of a sneak attack. But with those kind of plays, I think if you don't actually succeed, you kind of just fall off and kills because you are sacrificing your bodies for objectives. So I knew if we could fully defend that towards the end, then we would just win off kills.
Yeah, I mean, often all it takes is one big mistake and the kill count doesn't even matter. They just barrel through to your artifact. How did you manage to pull things back together?
I mean, a lot of it was my team. They're really talented players themselves. I mean, I think I have to owe it to just every single one of my teammates being vastly superior in every single way to the enemy team. And, I mean, the only way that's possible is because, I mean, they're just inferior in every single way possible as well.
Good Lord, that is savage as hell, Shifter. But of course, everything for real, genuine foam board. We've been using the same one all weekend. I'm going to need it back after you get off the stage. Congratulations to Team Red. Woo! And of course, I do have to give a shout out. Though they lost, Team Blue were screaming and cheering the whole time. Team Pokemon, woo!
Good job, guys.
When we come back, it's going to be open play. If anything at all is interesting to you in the slightest, get up here. All of these are going to be cleared out, and you can come up and join into the fun. We'll see you soon. Bye, bye, bye.
Enemies have landed on our shores, bringing chaos and destruction. The time has now come for heroes to rise and to take back our freedom.